The Girl and the Whispering Garden. In the town of Ashbury, the sky was always the color of a dusty chalkboard. The houses were gray, the streets were gray, and even the puddles looked like spilled ink. A young girl named Pip walked through the streets with her head down. She had forgotten what it felt like to laugh, and her smile had been missing for a very long time. One afternoon, Pip found a hidden corner behind her house. It was a small patch of earth tucked away from the wind, covered in old leaves and bits of forgotten paper. It looked just as tired as she felt. She sat on a smooth stone and sighed, watching a single dry leaf tumble across the dirt. Suddenly, the wind swirled through the alleyway. It didn't howl, it hummed. Pip leaned closer to the ground. She heard a sound like a soft rustle, a tiny voice made of wind and soil. "Wake us up," the garden whispered. "Give us a drink, and we will give you a light." Pip blinked, wondering if the earth was truly talking to her. Pip decided to try. She spent the whole afternoon cleaning the patch. She gathered the old papers and pulled the prickly weeds that were choking the ground. As she worked, her hands became stained with dark, rich soil. For the first time in months, she wasn't thinking about the gray sky. She was thinking about the earth. While digging a small hole, her fingers brushed against something hard. She pulled out a tiny, rusted tin. When she popped the lid open, her eyes grew wide. Inside were dozens of seeds, round ones, flat ones, and tiny black specks. They looked like little brown pearls waiting for a home. Pip carefully tucked each seed into the ground. She brought water from the kitchen in a chipped ceramic mug, pouring it gently so the seeds wouldn't wash away. "Grow well," she whispered back to the garden. She stayed outside until the stars began to poke through the hazy clouds, feeling a tiny spark of hope. The next day, a boy named Arlo peered over the wooden fence. He lived in the house next door and usually spent his time kicking a deflated ball against the wall. "What are you doing with that dirt?" he asked, his voice echoing in the quiet alley. Pip looked up and, for the first time, didn't want to hide away. "I'm helping the garden wake up," Pip told him. Arlo hopped over the fence to see. To their surprise, a bright, brave sprout had pushed through the soil. It wasn't gray. It was the most brilliant emerald green they had ever seen. As Pip looked at the tiny leaf, a warm feeling tickled her cheeks. Her lips curled upward into a small, shy smile. Arlo wanted to help too. He went home and found an old watering can and some flower pots. He began to clear the rocks from his side of the fence. Together, they shared the seeds from the silver tin. They laughed as they raced to see who could find the best spots for the sunflowers and the daisies. Weeks passed, and the secret spread. Neighbors saw the splashes of yellow, pink, and blue peeking over fences. Soon, the whole town of Ashbury was blooming. The gray dust was gone, replaced by the scent of jasmine and roses. Pip stood in her garden, surrounded by color and friends, knowing that by caring for the earth, she had found her joy again.